Mr. Stickermania with Every Little Beatles Thing, episode number 20 with Mikey Arugula. And look who we have as a special guest, Rachel's ghost.
Rachel, I like you. I'll give you a little kiss.
Thank you so much, Mikey. And Frank, of course, always happy to be here with you guys. It's always a high energy show when us three get together. We love our Beatles. We get excited. And we just got the new release, Paul McCartney, Man on the Run. Just finished watching the documentary. It's available on Prime, Amazon Prime. And I was thrilled with it. You can't watch it without tearing up in a number of spots. It's quite touching, gives you some real insight into Paul. There's some good Beatles stuff in there. It covers really baby Paul all the way up to around 1980-ish, the immediate fallout following John's death. But, you know, it talks about him and Linda and the music, of course, centered to it all. Beautiful soundtrack. And if you want to question ever if Paul McCartney is a musical genius, look no further than that documentary where the music of Paul McCartney punctuates every moment within that production. And of course, the various iterations of Wings are in there, how that got together. The ill-fated trip to Japan, 1980. Look up, Paul. Boy, I still remember that one picture they showed where he's on the bench, kind of, you know, he's sleeping, he's passed out, and it's late. And, you know, they'd held him for a while. And that was a big event and a very difficult year. I guess if you were to talk about significant years in life of Paul McCartney, 1980 would certainly he would look at perhaps as being one of the more difficult years in his life. But anyway, I'm here. I'm happy. I always want to see what you kids have cooked up.
You're good. You're very good. You're very good how you said all that. Now, I just want to tell everybody the truth. Frank told me, you know, did you see it yet? And I said, no. So I did watch it. I wasn't going to be, I don't do everything post Beatles. Okay. But I happen to really enjoy this, okay? I happen to think I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I learned some things. And me personally, as I was just telling Frank and Rachel, the reason why I got a kick out of it is some of you people know that when I was 13 years old, I took a trek all the way to that farm. So if you saw that farm in Campbellton, Scotland, where later on in the show you see the bagpipe players coming out, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
I was there. Now, I don't remember it because I was 13 years old. I don't remember everything. But I have a whole story that goes with why I was in Campbellton, Scotland. And I did not meet Paul, okay? But I did do some special things that I might tell you later.
I want to hear about it. And the other thing, are we allowed to tell the kids about the other thing you were telling us backstage? Because there's some big news possibly for you involving people picking you up. And all. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah. Frank, first of all, I don't want to interfere. Do you have anything you want to say before because I know they know I could just keep talking, man.
Yeah. No, go ahead and tell your big reveal.
Okay. So this is exciting for Mikey. You know, Mikey wants to promote himself, okay? You know, I'm not afraid to promote myself. So over the weekend, I went to Christie's. And I did post a video, if anybody wants to see it, walking through the Beatles memorabilia of the Jim Irsay collection at Christie's in New York City. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. You only have one day to go, which is tomorrow. And then they're going to start to auction things off. But anyway, I went there, I made a video, but I happened to run into a news reporter that day. And because of my personality, the guy he liked me because I was giving him kind of content and stuff. So if you search online right now, NBC has an article featuring a little bit of Mikey. But the best thing is that the guy called me today and said, we're sending a limo for you tomorrow morning at 8:00. We want you back at Christie's. We're going to do a video news presentation nationwide. Okay. And Mikey Arugula is going to be in the video talking about the Beatles stuff at Christie's. That's crazy.
I couldn't believe in your short video the other day where you had that kid touch Ringo's drum.
Yeah. I was thinking of you guys, don't touch. But I want to tell you the crazy thing about the when you went to this Christie's. There are hundreds of guitars. If you were serious about buying something or bidding on it, they would take the guitar off. There's separate rooms where you could play the guitar and plug it into amps.
Oh,
right?
my.
Everything is touchable. The drums were touchable. I
thought about that. They were just sitting out there, Mikey, and I thought, holy crap, anybody, I mean, how could you resist? Oh, there's John Lennon's Rickenbacker. I might as well, reach out. Or the piano, the incredible piano.
Look, the things that were behind loose side or protection was like the Hey Jude lyrics, right? The Willy Wonka card, certain things, the Jack Kerouac, role of how he wrote the book. Thank you, guys. But anyway, the point is that the guitars and the piano, if you wanted to play that piano right there, you could have, John's piano.
I would have just rolled my fingers across every key to make sure that I touched every key that they did. Do you know, I went to Abbey Road in London, and they have the piano there from the 1962 Please Please Me sessions that they were doing. Please Please Me. I made sure that piano was right out. Everybody could touch it. I made sure that my hands rolled over every key on there. And there's the piano in question, the one that the Earthsay collection is showing.
John wrote A Day in the Life, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and a few others from
The Benefit of Mr. Kite was written on that.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. So
go ahead. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done, Frank. I want you to tell them about some of the new posters you got, man.
Yeah, I got it right here.
All right, let's go. Let's look at some fun Beatles stuff, man.
They got this in an hour ago.
Okay, what are we looking at? What are we looking at, Frank?
It's still in its original plastic cover when it was restored many years ago.
All right, that's August 29th, 1966, Candlestick Park, San Francisco, the good old US of A, the Beatles' final concert, right? Before it's
24 inches by 17 inches, and it's made of thin cardboard, and was folded at one time when it was displayed, and they had to flatten it out and restore it on these edges right here.
It looks good, Frank.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting too, Frank, that on that bill they had the circle appear, which this is Brian Epstein's his American band. Didn't Epstein manage the circle?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Red Rubber Ball was their big hit. They're kind of a one-hit wonder. Am I right about that? One-hit wonder. Would that be right about them?
They had another hit. I'm not coming up with it, but Paul Simon wrote the Red Rubber Ball.
Yeah, what a great song that is.
Right. By the way, I'm doing research on another Mikey project, and I went to the 66 Shay. So it's the same tour, obviously. It's like a week before, August 23rd. So the remains opened up. Okay, then Bobby Hem. Remember the song Sunny?
Oh, yeah, classic.
Right? The Circle, right? Which, of course, was named, the spelling was done by John Lennon, just throwing that in. And then the Ronettes were up right before the Beatles, okay? So the Ronettes would be the ones right before the Beatles.
Yeah.
So a couple of days ago, Rick Beato, you know who Rick Beato is?
We sure do. Yeah, he does a great show.
There's a theory that because of bad PA systems we had in the 60s, it caused the Beatles to become a studio band and have 27 #1 hits before they were 28 years old.
Unbelievable. Well, and of course,
I just want to say this, Rachel.
Yeah.
People don't realize this. If you look at the 66 Shay concert, though, not the 65. The 65, they played out of the sound system that the baseball announcements were made. Okay. And they lined up some speakers in the field. But the 66 did have Altec lensing and it had a sound system. Okay. If you see them, you'll see them lined up in big boxes on the stage.
Mikey, can you answer that?
Can you answer that question there, Mikey?
Yes, tomorrow is the last day to actually go there and walk around and see everything.
Wolfie, I expect you to be buying stuff.
So these are ticket stubs for the 65 Shea Stadium concert. But in this Jim Irsay auction, there are 2 tickets unused for the full tickets for the 65 concert. And they'll probably go for what, $5,000 to $10,000, won't they?
Well, if they went for 5, I'd buy them, but they're not going to go for 5.
Wow, just to be a fly on the wall on that thing. So a little envious. I don't know if Frank's envious out in Louisville, but I'm in Canada, on the west coast of Canada, so I might as well be in a cave somewhere in Israel compared to New York Christie's auction house with all these fantastic, dare I say, fab Beatles collectibles. Unbelievable. And, condolences to the Irsay family on the loss of their loved one. But obviously, this guy loved music, and like us, he was a Beatles nut. He recognized the importance of the band and had a natural love for the band. Because you got to have something going for you if you're going to buy all that Beatles gear.
Right, but I want to tell you also, guys, he really had a love for collecting and 20th century memories for someone like us.
Yeah.
When you went to this thing, you saw, in the Castaways, the Wilson Ball.
Yeah.
He had the ball there. He had the Willy Wonka gold card or whatever it is.
Willy Wonka, the gold bar, chocolate bar.
He had all these. There was a car up there. It's crazy. Yep. So
those they're going to go for a lot of money, aren't they? That drum set and that drum head.
Yeah, but I don't know who's spending all this money. You can eat a lot of money.
We got millionaires. Listen, if I'm a millionaire, you're going to get some guy in Dubai coming in. The Grand Prince of Dubai is going to be buying this stuff.
My story is a couple of years ago on the 60th anniversary of the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. They had a big auction and heritage auction in Texas. So I get involved. I make about 20 bids. The first bid is a BC 13 box set. This is a sealed one I just got in.
Right.
Oh, really nice. You don't see them sealed like that often, Frank.
Australian box set, BC, and I won it. And I go, well, maybe today's my lucky day. And then Jerry Jones or somebody got involved, and I got wiped out on everything else in the auction.
Yeah. Well, you need a lot of money.
There's a great comment, Johnny Ramone. I'll bet Peter Jackson, right? Great director, multi-millionaire guy. That's the these are the people that would I could see him going in for something like that.
They say that Peter Jackson's the one that did the work on the new Elvis movie to make it look so good.
To do the restoration using the technology that he brought in.
Yeah. So the next thing in my after the Beatles did their last concert, Brian Epstein, of course, passed away, and this is a hand-typed signed letter from George Harrison's mom.
Oh, yes.
Funeral services that she went to in October of 1967.
That's the mom and the sister.
The mother.
Oh, really? What was her first name?
Louise. They both were Louise.
Louise. Okay.
So the daughter is named after the mom, Louise Harrison.
So the letter came from Warrington, England, from her address that George probably bought their house. Yeah.
Right. Very good.
That's the next thing in my story, though, is the Beatle history sure changed when Brian Epstein died.
Yeah, the direction of the band. And let's go back to the Beato comment. He's saying, oh, it was the instruments, they couldn't hear themselves, and that was probably the reason they went into the studio. But I think there was a lot more to it than just the fact that the equipment may not have been up to snuff. They got the more powerful, the AC30 amplifiers, and they had the AC10s or 15s, and they needed more wattage. They did, in order to hear themselves better when they were playing. And of course, Ringo famously saying, our playing went to crap because we couldn't hear each other. And so we got really sloppy, and we lost the edge that we had, that they had built up so arduously, over in Germany and Hamburg. So very interesting that in my opinion, I think it was the Beatlemania. The mania was getting to them. And of course, the touring, the difficulty over the Jesus comment from the Bible Belt reaction. So there was a lot of things going into it, and not just poor, wattage or acoustics in the.
I agree with you, Rachel. I think they were tired. They're on the road every day from tour to tour, right? There's a creative aspect to them. But I was always impressed that they couldn't hear themselves, yet the harmonies were great. They did Nowhere Man. And, these are guys that are saying they can't hear themselves, or they're doing Babies in Black. And they're doing very hard harmonies, and they're pulling it off. It wasn't like they were singing and it was bad. They sang great. There was tremendous energy all the time. Even if they thought it wasn't good, that's another thing. They must have been tired of playing the same 11 songs. When I tell non-Beatle people that they only played 30 minutes,
yes,
they can't believe this. In other words, they did 11 songs in 30 minutes, right? And they played those same songs every night for 300 nights of the year. Because when they came out with a set, they just kept doing it over and over again everywhere.
Mikey, there were only 25 minutes if they wanted to get out of there quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course the music was becoming more complex. So when they were starting to do songs like Nowhere Man, it became a little more challenging to play live, and let alone should they have attempted to try to do anything off of Sgt. Pepper that followed a year after they had stopped touring. So.
Yeah, and when they did Revolver was already out when they were still touring in '66. So there's obviously things on there that they wouldn't even attempt.
Tomorrow Never Knows. I mean, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I mean, they're not doing now. Paul does Eleanor Rigby because he's got one of the greatest, really underrated musicians in his band, Wicks, right?
Yeah, Wicks.
He is. By the way, he's been with Paul McCartney probably 3 times more than John Lennon was with Paul McCartney.
Yeah, he did since 1989 or something like that. Yeah.
That guy is the secret sauce of the Paul McCartney band.
So that summer, when the Lennon statement, when they were burning everything, you know that some of these butcher covers were thrown into the bonfire.
That's a frightening thought, Frank. That is a frightening thought when you think about that. Yeah, they would have been under the suitcase cover, the one that everybody got. So, invaluable money just going out, people, if they only knew what they had. There you go, folks.
They were burning everything, and this was out at that time.
Oh, you shudder to think. So these days, what's the easiest thing if somebody wants to get into Beatle collecting? What's the easiest thing to get a hold of that's vintage to the period 64, 65, 66, something in that time frame? What's a good starting piece? Maybe like In His Own Right. How much do those go for? John's book that he wrote, a first edition of In His Own Right, or A Spaniard in the Works, the follow-up?
Well, it's funny.
Or A Cellar Full of Noise, for example. Yeah.
In the original dust jacket.
Yeah. These things, the books are available on eBay. All right. As far as first edition, there are lots of things collectors can get into, like the buttons, the sweatshirts. There are things available online. All right. The problem is that there are things that they say are original,
Oh,
but they're
okay.
not.
Now look at this, Frank. What you are showing here, I just saw this on. I think it was the thing that Mikey had showed us over at the Ursay collection. That he had a bunch of them, and they were showing them. No, it was in the Paul. It's in the Man on the Run. They showed a whole stand of them. And how much would one of those go for, Mikey? One of them reflecto buttons.
Well,
yeah, that's the whole enchilada right there.
Yeah.
To me, this is absolutely beautiful, guys. Absolutely
what's nice is that this is the way it was displayed. It would be opened up. The back would be opened up. It would be sitting on the counter in the drugstore or the candy store. You could see they went for 59 cents. Frank, what do you think you sell these buttons for now? $15?
$50 a piece. Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You see, now you see, when we get into collectibles in that price range, now you're talking to a cheap Canadian, because the American dollar beats the crap out of our poor little peso up here. And so even 50 US, now we can do something like that. So that's very interesting.
Mikey, did you open your box of picture sleeves?
I did. So here's what I want to tell you. First of all, this is a good story, guys. Everybody knows Mikey, first of all, doesn't sell anything. Unlike Frank, Rachel, I don't sell anything.
Frank's the seller and Mikey's the collector.
I'm the buyer, and a lot of times I'm the buyer for Frank. All right? But people call me and they tell me, Mikey, my brother-in-law has these Beatle items. How much are they worth? So I say, look, have him call me. Here's my number. Call me up. So this guy calls me, the nicest guy. He lives in Florida. And he's asking me about records. I said, listen, records is not really my thing, but I can give you a general idea. So he tells me he has 45s with jackets. Okay. I said, listen, there's one right away I can tell you, if you have it, it's worth some money. If it's in good shape, it's worth over $1,000. That's the Can't Buy Me Love. So what does the guy tell me? I got it. Okay. Then I start talking about others. He goes, I got it. And then I said, listen, here's what I'll do. I'll give you like $1,000. But then he started showing me pictures of it, and the condition isn't that good. But this is how the way the conversation went. It always goes like this. You know what? I don't want this stuff. I got 345s that they smell. I got to get them out of my house. I just want to get them out. I'm going to send you everything, okay? And give me what you want. So what happened was the boxes came in 2 days ago. I just opened up for this show. Sure enough, here's the Can't Buy Me Love, okay? Wow. It's not in great condition. Matter of fact, look at the other side. It's got a number written on it, okay? It's funny, that number also, I noticed, on the record too. Maybe it was put in the all right, but the guy
maybe it was played in a jukebox or something.
Yeah, he's got this
picture sleeves. He's got
everything, man. Look, but you see there's writing on it.
Wow.
You see, like
on the Swan label, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait a minute, look at this one, Frank. But once again, condition. Oh my. And Mikey doesn't collect these records. But look, you see there's a number on it again.
Yeah, but it still doesn't, relegate it to nothing. This is still great stuff.
Look, another number. Frank, everything is ruined.
Wow.
Ruined for you, Mikey. For me, it's perfect. I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Wait a minute. This one, by the way, he bought from May's department store, 69 cents.
Hey, Mikey, I got a question for you. Mikey, your Strawberry Fields Penny Lane, do you have a West Coast picture sleeve or an East Coast picture sleeve?
This is, was that East Coast?
No, the tab cut, West Coast.
That's West Coast? Okay. Yeah. This shows you Mikey doesn't know anything here. Okay. Now, wait a minute, though. I have 2 boxes, and you know what? The records do smell. Like, I got to get them out of this room. These are like the Beatle things. Here's
So
more Beatle.
hold on. Do they smell like cigars or do they smell like must?
No, they smell like rotting paper. You know how
Rotting paper? I've never heard of such a thing.
No. But look, I got VJs. I'm looking for that double Beatle, the way it's spelled wrong.
Yeah.
What record is that?
That's Please Please Me, the 1963 with 2 B's.
This is a purple Tolly, a purple one.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
Is that a rare one? The Tollys say McCartney, Lennon. They don't say, what do you call it?
Yeah, Lennon McCartney. Yeah. Which it should be. It should always be Lennon McCartney. I love Paul, but please, Lennon McCartney.
But anyway, I got 345s, not Beatles stuff. Now that's the most rare thing. That blows everything away.
Wow.
What do you got there?
In the original paper in Nim's record store.
So that's how it originally would have come out in that.
Yeah.
Wow. Never seen that, Frank. I've never seen it in any Beatles book or anything. I've never seen that ever.
And it's got McCartney, Lennon, and Dick James on the label.
Wow.
So how much is that, Frank? How much is that?
That's $600.
That's not bad.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's a lot cheaper than what I got to buy at Christie's.
Yeah.
Well, everything goes up too, right? Like, I mean, there's Frank. If you can get a deal through Frank, if Christie's is going to get crazy too, because all eyes are on it. It's getting a lot of press. Everybody's aware of it. It's a big collection. So
it's going to be live on YouTube tomorrow night.
Are they okay? Yeah. So it's going to be live.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see Mikey live from the people doing the thing.
I don't plan on being there at night. No. But
the limo's picking them up first thing in the morning, boys.
8:00 in the morning. But I told them to come a half an hour earlier because there's a lot of traffic in the morning to get to the city. It could take an hour and a half.
So the question was in the peanut gallery, hey, when does the bidding, how do you bid on these things? Frank, do you want to tell the kids how they can get the stuff? Because you've got an absolutely out of this world collection, so many incredible items. If somebody wants one of your things, how do they get it?
Love Me Do was October of 1962. And Please Please Me was January of 1963.
63. So early days, kids. So Frank, how do the kids get, if they're interested in buying any of the things? Oh, what do we got here, Frank?
That's my eBay store, Stickermania 2853.
Ladies and gentlemen, you want to go set your browser to charge and get over to Stickermania 2853 over on eBay. And you'll see a whole bunch of stuff, and not just Beatle related stuff. Frank's got a whole bunch of goodies.
You can get a hold of me at Mr_Stickermania at yahoo.com. Mr_Stickermania at yahoo.com. I can give you a little better deal because I don't have the eBay fees.
Rachel, you're pretty good with Frank. I like the way you you're good like a master of ceremonies here.
Well, you know what the thing is I like to promote and help people and support. And I like the energy that us three, when we get together, there's always great energy, right? There's always great energy and a lot of honest and sincere excitement. I mean, like I'm really selective in what I've got. I've got like a Stuart Sutcliffe ink etching that he did at the Liverpudlian Art College. That's a treasure of mine. I've got an Alan White signed drumstick. The Alan White that went on to play with Yes and the Plastic Ono Band. I got a set of drum played. You can actually see the shrapnel. You can get a splinter on these drumsticks. He actually played with them. And so I have, and of course, some beautiful little Beatle dolls. I just love those things that Frank gifted me. Those are treasure. I got Paul and Ringo up there. And so those are absolutely fantastic. So there's a real enthusiasm for this stuff. Here's another, what I'm looking for, collectibles for me. and it's not going to cost a fortune, but it
Tell
has
me.
sentimental value. It's The Longest Cocktail Party by Richard Diallo. I met Joey Mullen from Badfinger, and I read the book, Longest Cocktail Party. Joey, you're in that. They were talking all about that. And I'm calling it's Richard Diallo. And then Joey Mullen, he goes, that's Richard Diallo. You're saying it wrong. It's Diallo. He's a good friend of ours because Joey's from Liverpool too. So I go, oh. And then we talked about, when he was on the Imagine album, concert for Bangladesh. I go, this is amazing. I can't believe that, you met John and George and you're there at Apple right when everything's happening. It's unbelievable. And he was really good and very gracious.
You want that book, right?
I want the hardbound copy, the one that's white with the little green on it.
I'll get it for you.
That's the one I'm looking for, Mikey. I need that version.
The original one in the dust jacket there, Mikey.
No, I know that. You can find that. I'll buy that. I can find that in 10 minutes for her. I'll get it for her.
So here's the next thing in my story. A couple weeks ago on eBay, a seller put all the original negatives of an NBC employee that took pictures on May 14th of 1968.
Oh, wow.
I had them blown up. And that's about as clear as you're ever going to see John and Paul on the Johnny Carson show.
Oh, absolutely. That is taken from the original negative, folks. So you're never going to get a better print than that.
Yeah.
And did you notice, Frank, the guy who did the photography, NBC, he did not, I don't think he used a 35 millimeter camera. I think he used a larger lens on it to take that picture. So it's even more high resolution than the 35 mil, I think.
I put two 12 by 12 negatives together. I put two prints together to show the whole stage.
I see what you're doing. Yeah.
So I wanted to have Ed McMahon, I wanted to have Joe Garagiola, and I wanted to have Tallulah Bankhead that said she wasn't into the Beatles, and John Lennon and John Lennon were arguing through most of the interview.
Oh, well, she was feisty anyway, and she died very young. I just watched her I got the Blu-ray set of Batman, the 1966, because I'm born in 1958. Full disclosure, kids. So I'm like 8 years old in 1966 when the Beatles are running around Candlestick Park and doing their thing. Batman comes on TV.
She might be right, but I thought that negative sold last night, but I could be wrong. I think they're all
175. So so with the old Batman, so Tallulah Bankhead was on there. And she died, like she wasn't that old when she passed away. She was like in her 60s or something. And, so I think she lived a pretty rough and tumble life. She may have been tipping a bit when John showed up.
She looked like she was smoking and
I
drinking.
think she was a bit of a smoker. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I have the trivia question somewhere.
It was cool when she was 14. All right. The kids are arranging things.
It's Travis.
We got trivia question time.
Okay.
We're going to give away one each of these prints. I had several made. I'm giving a set to Rachel, and I'm giving a set to Mikey. But I'm going to give one set away with 3 trivia questions.
All right. Nice. Very curious.
Boy, I'm excited.
Okay, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough.
Mikey, you're not allowed to answer because you'll know these.
Okay.
Question 1. Who in May of 1968 presented an idea to John and Paul at Central Park about playing Magical Mystery Tour in college campuses? What was his name? He was 18 years old. Question 2. Whose apartment did Paul and John stay at when they were in New York for 72 hours when they were on the Johnny Carson show and they had interviews about starting Apple Records? Whose apartment did they stay at? The man that had the apartment he left and let John and Paul have the apartment for 3 days? What was his name? And number 3, John says in the interview on the Johnny Carson show, they were talking about scrambled eggs. And he said, well, over here, it was the instrumental first, and it didn't do very good. Whose album was that instrumental titled Scrambled Eggs on?
Ooh, these are high level trivia, Frank.
Do you like it, Mikey?
Yeah, I happen to know them, but like you said, because you kind of like geared it towards me.
Yeah, I got all those questions from you, Mikey.
I know. But what I want to ask something. So the last one though is what album that it's on, right?
Who was the artist that did the album that the title Scrambled Eggs is on?
Okay, I understand it, and I know the answer. Sure.
Okay, well, so Mikey's all over this. I'm going to guess because I don't have a clue. So just for comedy's sake, I'm going to suggest scrambled eggs makes me think country. So I'm going to go Buck Owens for scrambled eggs. And I'm going for the apartment. I know that Fred Astaire hung around. So I'm going to go with Fred Astaire as the apartment. They were hanging out at Fred's place for a few days. And then what was the first one?
There was an 18-year-old man.
The 18-year-old. Okay, I'm all over that too. The 18-year-old.
Go ahead.
And you got to take Magical Mystery Tour and play Central Park. It could be none other than a young Paul Anka, who's a young kid with Diana, and he happened to recommend that.
So, Mikey,
I'm pretty sure I got it right, everyone.
Mikey Arugula did an interview with a 75-year-old man that was 18 at the time.
Wow.
Still no answers, y'all. Come on.
No one's going to get this, man.
So in May of 1968, an 18-year-old saw Paul and John in Central Park and went up to him and presented the idea of playing Magical Mystery Tour in college campuses to make money. What was his name? Mikey interviewed him about a year ago.
Not only that, he was offered a job by Paul McCartney and became the photographer for the Bangladesh concert and also the Plastic Ono Band concert with John Lennon.
Johnny Ramone, you got one of them right.
What did he say? Let's see it. I can't see what he said.
Right on screen.
Yeah, he's got one right.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
You guys got to search Mikey Arugula and watch my videos a little more often. I'm on more than
So we got question 2. Whose apartment did Paul and John stay at when they were in New York City, the May of 1968 for 72 hours? And in the interview, they're talking about scrambled eggs being the original title of Yesterday. Gabby got it. Gabby got it.
Oh, Gabby's so good. If anybody's going to get this stuff,
way to go,
Gabby is a machine.
Good job.
So Richard Adler is the 75-year-old man that Mikey interviewed last year, and he told the whole story, how he went down and he just thought, well, who are these people? I know who they are. I've seen them before. And he went right up to them and talked, and they were real receptive. Paul especially. Paul gave the number of Nat Weiss, right? The phone number of Nat Weiss so that Richard Adler could get a hold of him. And George Martin Orchestra is the Help album, plays Help. That's where the title of Scrambled Egg is on.
Yeah.
Oh, the applause is very enthusiastic.
Yeah. I figured George Martin, most people would know that one.
So, Gabby, I have your address. I'll send a pair of these out to you. Good job.
Congratulations, Gabby. Great work on that.
Thank you for watching that long interview. Thank you for watching that long interview of mine.
It's an hour and a half, right?
It's pretty long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right,
Frank, what else you selling us tonight? I haven't bought something for Frank in a long time, man. What can I buy, Frank?
the next thing in my story is this is the last picture, professional picture of the four Beatles together on the Hey Jude album. This is my UK 1970 -1 hot stamper, and no, it's not for sale. People have already reached out, but
Yeah,
I'm going to play this for Mikey when he comes to Louisville for Abbey Road on the River.
Good.
So this is the Alan Klein inspired album where now the Beatles have fallen into Klein's hands and he wants to make some money. So he puts this album out, from my understanding. Is that right?
And the next thing in the story is Mikey's got something that shows about what Alan Klein caused to happen. Your apple crate.
Oh, yeah, but you wanted me to show the apple crate, but I can't move it. It's
All
over
right.
here.
All right.
Wait a minute, but you have it, right?
Not yet. I just bought it.
So let's save it for another show, because you know what's in my apple crate? It's filled with records and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's got all kinds of stuff in it. You know, I forgot you told me to get that ready. Okay.
Well, the story is on the apple crate. I got a hold of one that man that worked at Capitol Records over in the East Coast. He's happened to go to senior citizen home, and they're selling his whole collection. And the main piece was the apple crate. But the story that goes with this is there's only 3 dividers in that apple crate for solo Beatle albums. Which one are they missing?
So, well, early it says Poughkeepsie Blues. God, I mean, how early are we going back to? 1969, 70?
What he means is there's a Beatle that's left out on the apple crate.
On purpose, on the divider.
The Beatles.
There's one Beatle that's left out.
Oh, it's got to be Paul because of the legal problems. Yeah. And Klein hating Paul.
Yeah.
Or you don't have problems with Paul anyway.
They have wood dividers in this crate for all the Apple musicians, like Billy Preston, some group called The Whale. I never heard of it, but there's different groups that were on, right? Badfinger, but they don't have one divider for Paul.
Bowl full of empty cherries.
Yeah, interesting. That is interesting. I've never heard anybody do any analysis on why, that particular image for the debut, Paul's debut,
Yeah. This came out of April of 1970, and the other 3 Beatles wanted it. Beatles wanted it delayed because Let It Be had just been released, or was going to be released.
It came out 2 weeks before Let It Be came out.
And Paul said he was not going to delay it. And they sent Ringo over to Paul's Cavendish house to tell him to delay this album. And he threw Ringo out of his house.
Yeah, Paul wasn't happy.
I learned at Christie's, which I never knew, was that Paul played the drums on that drum set that was at Christie's that you saw, and also the snare drum that Paul used it to record the McCartney album.
Yeah, it's just because of everything that was going around. I always assumed, is there some sort of messaging that Paul's put in having this bowl? It seems so innocuous and so like a non sequitur. It doesn't seem to fit or say anything. It's just there, as an image, as a nice art image,
Right.
Like John Lennon, when John Lennon does his when he does Imagine and his response to Ram, where John's holding a pig, there's a message in there. In no uncertain terms that there's a message about Ram in that.
Yeah.
All right, now Rachel and Mikey, you guys just saw Man on the Run. Rachel, what was meant to be on the back cover? What are they talking about that?
Oh, okay. So they were saying that basically the front cover and the back cover got flipped around.
Yeah.
But the way it was released, that should have been the front cover picture, is what the idea was.
Okay, Rachel, you just saw the Man on the Run documentary. Tell us what you thought.
I loved it. And it's very emotive. It covers all the way from Paul kind of, in Liverpool as a little lad. And then he gets famous with the Fab Four. It talks a lot about Lennon. If you're a Lennon person like I am, John's my favorite Fab. There's a lot about their relationship. John is like a kind of a figure in the background that Paul can't quite escape. The Beatles in general, yes, but John Lennon specifically. It ends around 1980, coming up. I think it's the final thing that they end with. But it talks about the Japan bust. It talks about John's death, Paul's reaction. The only one that I thought was a little, in terms of the talking heads, that I could have done without is Chrissie Hynde, regardless of whether Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders fame is a friend of the McCartneys or not. I don't need her voice. You could pick any number of a million celebrities that know Paul McCartney that he rubs shoulder with that I'd rather hear from. I'd rather hear from Julian Lennon, for example, or, than I would rather hear from Chrissie Hynde when it comes to Beatles stuff, or anybody else, one of the old-timey people that could have been around.
I had never heard that section about him almost drowning. That was something I had never heard before.
Yeah, he's down in where was he for that? Was that Hawaii? Yeah,
Hawaii.
they're in Hawaii, and he went into an eddy. And you don't do that. As soon as I saw it, I said, that's the kind of water, because you get into these, what do they call those? They pull you right out into the ocean. You can go 2 miles out in the ocean in like 20 minutes, kind of thing. It's crazy.
He was lucky.
Yeah,
Very
we're
lucky.
that he didn't go at that time.
Yeah.
So, and I love, and they talk about the different iterations and wings in it. So there's good coverage there. The music is beautiful, beautifully presented. I love it. It ends with "Let Me Roll It."
Yeah, I like the way that Paul pretty much gave the director free reign. And he didn't, I know he didn't want that gotta sing, gotta dance in there, but the director said it needed to be in there. And so Paul said, okay.
There's a vulnerability about Paul in the thing that is presented, where Paul, warts and all, you might say. And so I respect it on that level. And you get a little bit of Paul's grit, that he's not going to back down from anybody. And you do get a sense, like the one guy, the reporter is playing him, and he's going, do you think that Band on the Run represents you finally coming into form? People have been waiting for you to really come into form. Paul goes, no. He doesn't buy it at all. He says, Ram's just as good. Everything he's done has been great. So there's a lot of, the drive and the ego that made them the toppermost of the poppermost, the poppermost of the toppermost, right?
How about the time that the interviewer asked Paul, when's the first time you heard Linda sing? He said on our wedding.
That's funny. Yeah, that was funny.
On his honeymoon, right?
Yeah. So very quick-minded. You got to say, clearly the guy's intelligent and quick-witted, and he's charming, But there's times where you can see him exasperated with the press, right? Well, it has to be. It's all right there, Paul. Don't worry about that. I will punch you out, I tell you. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thought Sean's comments were good. His comments, Sean was very fair. When he did some narration, I thought he said the right things.
But when Sean Lennon came on during that, when Paul was interviewed December 9th, they kind of had his interview. You couldn't hear what Paul was saying. And now if you go on YouTube, you can see everything Paul said in that interview. And I don't know why they blocked that out during the documentary.
I like this comment. Ram is an absolutely fantastic album. In hindsight, at the time, the documentary shows that it was panned by critics at the time. Clearly, they were wrong. History has proven them wrong. History proves Paul right. It's a fantastic album.
The two albums that they feature most in the documentary was Ram and Band on the Run.
Is the picture of the little beetle bugs on there? Is that on the back or in the? Yeah, there's a little beetle. I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for in the bowl of cherries, right? A couple of beetles going at it. I wonder what was happening in 1971 with the Beatles, right? They weren't happy with each other. So sue me, sue you blues, right?
Yeah. So
My favorite Beatles, my favorite Paul album.
This got Paul back on top of the music world.
He really did. This was a monster album. Absolutely amazing. And of course, the story of them going to, I never pronounced it right, Laos and Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the fact that they get mugged, that story is interesting. Paul, you get a sense that Paul doesn't always make the right decisions in life. Taking pot into Japan, even though he was told not to. That's a bad decision.
How stupid whose idea was that to bring the marijuana?
I don't know, man. And here's the other one: Paul going into the water in Hawaii. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
Not thinking. And then the third one was when he goes, "Oh, they told us, don't go out at night, and it will be a fine," you know. And he goes out in a crime-ridden area. You know, not smart.
Yeah. And he supposedly lost all the demos, but that's hard to believe because that for him to come back and be able to record all that again after losing all the demos, that would be almost impossible. But I don't know.
Yeah, James. Denny Lane. I didn't realize that they really were together a long time. Denny Lane and him.
I love that little where the three of them were singing towards the end of the documentary.
Oh yeah,
that was really touching.
Right.
Yeah, the humor there. And you do get a sense that Paul wasn't fully aware. He was a little obtuse about the financial arrangement, which kind of, you got to say Henry McCullough bailing out on him at that time with Denny Sewell, because those guys were not Denny Sewell, you know who I mean, but they were you know, they weren't getting the kind of remunerations that they may have liked, right? That they may have expected.
So do you think that Paul took the blame for Linda's luggage?
Yeah, I think so. So these are, I just got these in. These are 1973 to see Wings in Liverpool and in Hammersmith in England. And guess what the price to see Paul McCartney and Wings in 1973 was? £1.50, which would be about $2.
Yeah, dirt cheap. But it's like those 60s Beatle ticket prices. You want to go see the Beatles? You got $5? Let's go.
But those Hong Kong, the Hong Kong tickets in 1964 were over $25, and that's why they didn't sell out. They didn't sell out.
Yeah, you wonder why. For that time period, that's like mass. That's nobody would be charging that.
Yeah, sure. I didn't know that. That's how much they sold for.
Yeah.
I didn't stay for it, but did the others ask about after the film?
So that's the photo in Hong Kong with the girl that got invited up to their suite when Jimmy Nichols was out shopping because the other three Beatles couldn't get, they couldn't go anywhere. But Jimmy Nichols, nobody recognized him, and that's George Harrison's autograph from her scrapbook.
Frank gets some really obscure collectibles, really good ones.
Yeah, and that's her 4-page handwritten note from a hotel in Hong Kong where she describes everything that happened.
She didn't talk about, but she didn't mention Derek Taylor. She didn't talk about that.
Well, she said that's how she got up there. Yeah,
I know, but I think that Derek Taylor was after her.
Could be.
He gave her a lot of favors.
Well, Mal Evans
was bringing her up there.
Mal Evans wasn't a saint either.
Right.
The big Beatles actually made 2 German covers. Yes, She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Why did they do that, though, actually? Why did they do that?
Because they were big in Germany, and they must have talked them into doing those 2 covers. And you know they did the instrumental tracks completely over for those 2 songs.
But let me ask you something. Like, someone did the translation for them. They didn't know how to speak German, right?
No, they had a translator that was brought in for those sessions. Yeah.
And then they had to learn the words to sing it in German.
Yeah. So this is a pretty embarrassing moment in the documentary where they make Henry McCullough dress up for that Mary Had a Little Lamb. He wasn't happy about that at all.
And it's mentioned that he wasn't happy about it as well.
Paul McCartney could do anything, and he didn't care. But I remember seeing that on that special when they did Mary Had a Little Lamb. I thought it was kind of corny, too.
We'll let Richard James up. I've heard that rumor also that Yoko turned Paul in there. About the
I don't buy it for a second.
I don't think so. That would be terrible if it was
Paul
true.
McCartney did no encouragement from Yoko Ono to get involved with pot. Okay, folks, come on, grow up. Hey, okay, Frank, I'm interested in one of them lenticular things. You got a Lennon? If you don't have a Lennon, I'm going to have to go elsewhere.
I only got a Paul, yeah.
I'll take a Paul. I'll take a Paul and a pitch. We'll show some love
You want a
to Paul
Paul
McCartney.
You want a Paul or all four?
I'll take a Paul. I like the ones with the individual fabs.
All right. I'll send that with your pictures there, Ray.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to pay you for that. I want to give you some. I want to give you the just whatever you pay, whatever you're charging. You said 50 USD. That's what we'll do. I'm going to outdo Mikey Arugula on buying a Beatles item off of Frank on today's program. I'm happy to have it. I like those things. So just charge me and we'll make that happen, or put it up on the page and then I'll go and buy it. We'll get that.
Just pay me $25. That way I can ship everything to you in Canada. UPS.
All right, lad. That's what we'll do.
Frank's a good man. Good man.
He spoils me, Frank. Mikey spoils me. Okay, what else we got, boys? And do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite McCartney album before we go on, Frank? What's your favorite? What do you think Paul's best album is? What do you like best?
Well, here they just ranked Paul McCartney's top 10 solo songs, and see what you think of this. Number 10 is "Jump" from the McCartney album.
Good song, underrated song. I like it.
Number 9. This top 10 is a lot of this right here. Number 9 is "Dear Boy."
Good song. I like that. It's about Linda's first husband that he lost. Linda, he was being some people thought it was about Lennon, but Paul says it's about Linda's first husband.
Number 8 is "Jet."
Jet's a rocker, man. What a great song.
Number 7 is "1985."
What a way to end that album, right?
Is this Only Wings you're talking about? Only Wings?
Yeah. Paul McCartney's best top 10 solo songs.
So Wings and Paul alone.
What about all these other ones, like when he had the Fine Line album and Calico Skies?
No, hold on. We aren't there yet. We've not finished.
Everything's from the 70s on it. Oh, these are the top 10 solo songs from the 70s.
Okay, we're in the 70s.
I was going to say, because there's a lot of great songs.
Number 6 is "Backseat of My Car."
Yeah, that's a great song. I love that.
I know the first one already. There's only one the first could be.
Number 5 is "Too Many People."
I love that song. Of course, that is a shot at John and
Number
Yoko.
4 is "Montgomery Delight." This album, you can tell, is heavily favored. Number 3 is "Maybe I'm Amazed."
Wow!
Oh, come on, that's number
song.
1.
That is a masterpiece. That is
number 2 is "Band on the Run."
Good song, great bridge.
And number 1, according to this poll, is
Uncle Albert.
Uncle Albert.
Admiral Halsey.
I love that song, but I don't know. "Maybe I'm Amazed" is the number 1 song.
Yeah, "Maybe I'm Amazed."
The live version is great.
"Maybe I'm Amazed" would have been on the next Beatles album if they had stayed together. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't they come together, whoever they might be, and they envisioned what the Beatles would have been? I forget, they even had a name for it. And it's got, Ringo's "It Don't Come Easy" is on there, and George Harrison stuff from "All Things Must Pass," and
Yeah.
you know, and then you take Paul's McCartney album, you grab John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band album, and you put all that together, and you end up having this kind of mishmash, what the Beatles album might have been, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's your?
Someone said Another Day. I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was spoiler.
Okay, this is a good question.
We know that.
Abracadabra. Beatles album.
Is that that's the Revolver, isn't it?
I would guess. My guess would. That's what I was saying. I was going to go with Revolver on that because I know Abbey Road was supposed to be Everest.
There's a Beatle bootleg that has Abracadabra and it's on a Revolver cover.
Yep, exactly.
So we're going
like
with yeah.
Revolver.
I agree. We're all thinking Revolver for that.
Okay, Mikey, what's your favorite Paul McCartney album?
Well, when you say Paul McCartney, once again, I like the McCartney, the original one. I can tell you the one I don't like. Okay, I never liked Wildlife. Okay, that was the first one, right? The first Wings, wasn't it?
First Wings album, yeah.
Yeah, I was not happy with that album, but you know what's on that album? Maybe I would like it now, but at the time I didn't like anything.
I think it's an okay. I think it's okay album. I don't think it's brilliant. I think it's a good album. It's not a great album. That's my opinion.
Dear Friend, his song "Out to John Lennon" is on here,
which is a great song. But the album is good, despite a great song on it.
Mumbo and Bip Bop, that's kind of just off the cuff there.
Right. But as far as Paul McCartney goes, there's so many things to choose from. Flaming Pie is a good album.
Yeah.
Then I like later on, because I did go on the tour and I went and I saw him numerous times when, what's the one? Is it Fine Line? What's the album with Fine Line on it? Where he's sitting in his backyard.
Oh, yeah.
Chaos and Creation.
Chaos and Creation.
Yeah, I think that's a great album. Okay.
That's a controversial album, that one, Chaos and Creation.
Yeah. No, I like that album. And his voice was still good at the time. And he had Jenny Wren and certain songs on there that had a good variety of songs.
I can't believe this wasn't in the top 10
right.
McCartney songs from the 70s.
Yeah, beautiful song. Harkens to Something Larger. I did appreciate Chrissie Hynde talking about when she compared punk to Paul, saying Paul's stuff is timeless. It'll last forever. And it's actually the punk stuff, which seems so modern and edgy in 1977, that has now become the more dated sounding music. It takes you right back to 77. But a Mulla Kintyre song is something that's absolutely timeless because it falls into that realm of folk music, Scottish folk classic. In fact, even Denny Lane is seen in the documentary saying, hey, is this a traditional Scottish ballad that you pulled out of your hat here?
Right.
This is a kind of common souvenir of their visit to America in 1964 USA, but it's a second pressing where they were pushing the song Ask Me Why. It's real big in print.
On the VJ label, yeah, early.
Yeah. So you got Ask Me Why, and then you got Anna, which you can hardly even read. It's in such small print.
I love those songs, by the way. The original songs. And they had a good echo in those days. I like the echo, where you could pan the stereo and you could get rid of the singing, or you could have the singing only. I like that stereo mix.
Yeah, my tube cuts of original UK of Revolver and Rubber Soul and Hard Day's Night. I love all that panning, I mean, where you can hear.
Yes.
You can hear the vocals on one speaker.
Right. People make fun of that, but I actually enjoyed that because that's how I grew up listening to the Beatles.
Yeah.
I would like to listen to the one speaker, and I would play along with it.
Boy, I just watched a fella talk about the Beatles and Nowhere Man and the 3-part harmonies, John, Paul, and George on that. And so this guy does his best job of it, but then to hear the real Beatles do it, unbelievable how good they were, how brilliant they were.
This is when they were at their peak.
That's interesting. So that's for you, Frank. That's one of your top fab albums, do you think?
The vocals are on this tube cut are just unbelievable. I'm gonna play for Mikey when it comes to Louisville.
I do like the back photo they use.
You don't know this, but they make fun of that. That album is like a standard discussion on every show we do with Frank. Okay, yeah. The next thing you're going to see in the comments is something about Mr. Moonlight. I guarantee you, because I hate that song.
I like the back picture of that. They use it for the Beatles' greatest hits that came out in Holland and Germany.
Yeah,
I had that Dutch press from Odeon. Oh, I love that album.
My theory is they just got done touring the world, and they had to do this song in a matter of weeks. And how they were able to be so professional, it was just all muscle memory. They were just at their peak as far as being, their harmonies and everything.
I think it was a complete Beatles documentary that made the comment on that picture that 4 weary Beatles looking very tired in that Robert Freeman picture there. Roger Freeman that's his name, right? Roger Freeman.
You think they look tired? No, I don't think they look tired.
And Tony Bramwell's dead, so we will never know for sure. But he says that's his.
Oh, his thumb there on the print coming in. Yeah, it's a great shot. I mean, the photos are wonderful. Great album cover. The Beatles, here's another thing where they excel. I like the Beatle album covers. And as the band goes on, they get by the time number 2 album, even Please Please Me is pretty damn good. But but the black and white that they did, incredible.
That's with the original fan club flyer, Lady Madonna. Yeah. So, Mikey, when you buy picture sleeves, you need to get them in this kind of quality.
No, I get it.
Don't hurt him. He's got his smelly, paper rotting Beatles.
Wait a minute. I just thought of another Beatles song I don't like. Inner Light.
You don't like the Inner Light?
No.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Oh, come on, fellas. You got to get a little of that East Indian vibe. That's George. He's doing his thing.
I'm just getting into Within Without You where I don't have to skip it now.
By the way, Within You Without You, I tell people all the time. When I first got Sgt. Pepper, I skip over it. Now I think it's the greatest song. I love Within You Without You.
Yeah.
Okay? I love that song. But Inner Light, I could lose it.
That's one, like, I'm the same way, Mikey, with that. I didn't like it initially, and now I like it. I enjoy it quite a bit because it was so, the East Indian thing. I go, what the hell are you guys doing?
It's a period of time. I get it. Yeah.
So when I'm mature, I guess I matured into the song, maybe.
A couple other things that have come out in the last couple weeks. They said that John Lennon helped leak the test pressing of the original Get Back, Let It Be album to radio stations, and that's what caused Beatle bootlegs to start. It was leaked 8 months before the album was released.
That's interesting. I know that the story goes that Paul was, angry naturally, so because John and George behind Paul's back went to New York, and then they were peddling. They showed Klein, and they were saying, and they got, who was it? They got, Phil Spector. They took it to Spector. Said, can you do anything? Here's the tapes. That what we've been doing. Can you do anything with it? So Paul wasn't part of that negotiation. No wonder, even though in the Get Back movie, you get Paul going, the question is directly asked of Paul, hey, what do you think about putting strings and on the Long and Winding Road doing some orchestration? Are you going to do it? And Paul says, we're thinking about it. Maybe, maybe no. We haven't really decided yet. But then that decision was taken out of his hands. And that's when the resentment came in. I don't think Paul really does mind strings or anything like that. Let It Be Naked notwithstanding. I think it's more a case of Paul being mad at Phil Spector, or even more than Phil, angry at John and George, the way they handled it, and behind his back went and tried to peddle the music and get it produced differently.
I don't think Long and Winding Road would have been as big as a hit without the Phil Spector involvement.
It's a long ways better than the Glenn Johns version. That Glenn Johns, if the Beatles had gone with the Glenn Johns, whatever the hell that was, that would have been panned so badly. The Beatles would have been brutalized in the media, and it would not have been as good. The better album is the Phil Spector. I think it's the best of the ones that I've been able to hear. And we've heard a lot from the bootlegs that came out of those recording sessions. The beauty, and here's the thing also as a side note, just because we're here and we're beatling it, when they talk about the Peter Jackson version of Get Back versus the Michael Lindsay Hogg, I love the way the two of us was set as a beautiful little, it's like a piano with a candelabra on it. Everything's unpolished. It's now or never. You know, the boys are acting up. They're playing these little bits and pieces, and it's all disjointed. You go, are the Beatles any good anymore? Have they lost it? And then there's that magical moment. The two of us, where Paul stands there and he's got his little suit all done up properly, and he's looking right at the camera. And you could tell it was like a little presentation, almost like a little video before videos became a big thing. Really great moment. And it's a showcase piece by the handling of Michael Lindsay Hogg, and it's totally relegated to insignificance by Peter Jackson. It's just, oh yeah, it's there, but the show keeps moving along. It's kind of buried.
Yeah, there's a lot of Beatle freaks that want every outtake that the Beatles ever did released. But in my opinion, I'd rather listen to the best audiophile pressing of their finished track when they were on and they did their magic. That's what Beatles music is to me.
Yeah, I understand that. You know, it's a work of art, and they put together this work of art, and you want to see the finished product.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've listened to these bootlegs of CDs and stuff, and I'm just not into it. I'm through listening to them. I just want to get the best pressing of every Beatles album that exists in the world. Yeah.
Right. Well, I like it when you, for example, you hear And Your Bird Can Sing and they're enjoying themselves and they're laughing.
Yeah.
You know, like you that's an insight to the process of them writing the song. You hear them laughing together in one of the tracks. I like that part of the thing. But obviously, sometimes there's multiple versions of a song that are great. I like the evolution of listening of how they did Strawberry Fields.
Yeah,
and
that wonderful an anthology, how it comes. And you know what's really cool about Strawberry Fields? Forever You Watch, A Hard Day's Night, there's a little scene with a little
that's the Beatles 64 documentary, Rachel.
Is that in the Beatles 60? Okay, so that clip with John doing that, and I go, holy, that guy's playing Strawberry Fields Forever.
Strawberry Fields.
And it's like 1964. He's like, so it was in his consciousness, that little chord structure, those notes.
Or that George Harrison's listening to the original version of Got My Mind Set on You during the documentary in 1964. And then
so puts that thing in the back of his mind.
23 years later, he takes it to #1. The last Beatles #1 song.
You could take it a lot of places. John was in the bathtub with the Yellow Submarine.
Yeah.
In A Hard Day's Night.
Oh, right. Yeah. When he goes under the water and all that.
Yeah.
I just watched the Longest Day. And the actor that played the assist, like he's like the manager's helper boy, the little guy, because he's there with Sean Connery. They come off a landing ship craft, like one of the LSTs, and they come and hit the beaches of Normandy. They're playing a couple of, UK guys. And because the Americans are landing at, Utah and Omaha Beach, and the Brits are doing their thing at Sword and Juneau and anyway, so, but Sean Connery, he's in there. I go, there's a little guy from Hard Day's Night in there.
Yeah, they have people say they want a colorized version of Hard Day's Night. I don't want it at all.
No, I don't have any desire.
They have it, but it's not real. In other words, but they've colorized it on YouTube. By the way, someone asked me, how do I know it's yellow? Because that soap was an Avon soap product. It was a soap bar. And
wow.
yeah.
That
So,
is amazing. What the stuff you guys know will just shake the earth's foundations. Yeah, it's Avon soap.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
knows?
I know
Mikey knows.
Listen, I know a lot of stupid shit, man. That's what I know. I
love
don't know
this
anything valuable.
Yeah, that your buddy 4D man, he said that he knows the magazine that the Beatles were holding on to in A Hard Day's Night. Remember, he showed it.
Oh, okay. And yeah, Wolfie Baby, Salvation, A Bridge Too Far, also a great movie. I've got that in my collection as well. He was in The Longest Day. There's so many people like Robert Wagner's in The Longest Day. Everybody says it's like a star-studded thing.
Yeah,
but thank you, Wolfie.
Norman.
Yeah, he was good.
Norman Ross is the actor I'm thinking of, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
Where we at 90 minutes.
What an hour and 15 since up the all.
About 5 more minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. Smoke them if you got them.
Oh, yeah. I'll just show you quickly. So tomorrow I told you I'm going in the morning. So Mikey's got to bring some things because I'm promoting Mikey. So I'm going to show NBC. I say, listen, I don't have the things that he has, but I got I got a couple of rare items. I got a Ringo roll. You never saw that, Rachel, did you?
I've never, ever seen a Ringo roll ever. I don't even know what the hell a Ringo roll is.
This is a licensed product. It's a bread. You never saw that before, okay?
So hold on. You're telling me you got a loaf of bread from 1964?
Yeah. I have
How is that thing not filled with mold?
I have the real hairspray because you know from the bottom. Okay, this is the real one. All right, and I'm only taking these because I have to fit them in a little bag, and I have my little Beatle Ringo squeezy. You know, so I'm going to bring a couple of oddball things. I'm putting them in. Hold on a minute. I'll show you what I'm putting them in. I'm going to
look at the stuff he's got.
I'm going to bring them in this case. In other words, this is a very rare bag. So Mikey is going to bring this bag with those things in there.
Are you going to wear a Beatles button? Are you going to put a Beatles button on whatever you're wearing for a coat or whatever?
No, what I am going to wear, and that's why I'm not wearing it tonight. I'm wearing my Mikey Arugula shirt, okay? Because I got to promote Mikey. I got to promote Mikey.
Attaboy.
When I turn the shirt around, it says collecting with Mikey Arugula. But Frank, here's the good news for you, Frank. Yeah. You made me cards. Frank, remember the card you gave me?
Yeah.
It has your name on the one side of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm giving them all the cards. And
all right.
Have your name on it.
I love this comment. Okay. North Carolina picker. We love him.
Arthur wants to see Ugly Paul.
No, he wants me to bring that tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to take that
tomorrow.
He's not doing Ugly Paul. He doesn't want to frighten NBC's audience.
You know why? Also, people think Ugly Paul there's racial overtones to it.
Yeah, I think it might be ethnic.
Yeah, you saw it. You know what Ugly Paul is, right?
We've seen it. We've seen that.
Yeah. I'm not going to take him out tonight. He's sleeping.
So I showed this before, but this is the cover of Mersey Bait.
Wow.
Bill Harry's Liverpool music newspaper, and that's a picture of the Beatles at the back of the Liverpool airport.
Right.
The day they were going to fly to London to record "Love Me Do" and "How Do You Do It." And if you notice,
George Harrison looked like he's like 14 there. Look at him.
Yeah, George Harrison still has. Show me big. He still has the black eye, and Ringo still has his haircut from Roy Storm.
Roy Storm hairdo, yeah. They don't. None of them really have the classic Beatles haircut at that point.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Rachel, coming on tonight.
Well, it's after the show, we're going to settle in soon. I like watching a movie. We do some. We just watched the Paul McCartney. I do encourage everybody to watch it if you haven't seen Man on the Run, the Paul McCartney.
Did you notice that when they have those talking heads talking, there were a lot of unreleased Wings tracks playing at the same time, and you had to crank it up so you could hear it.
Yeah, that's all in the background, adding mood to it, right?
Yeah.
And but I'm going to be looking for at MSNBC or NBC, whatever they call themselves these days. I want to see Mr. Mikey Arugula promoting himself on MSNBC, showing some of his great stuff.
I'm not going to be on that station. It would be on NBC.
Okay, NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know nothing. Okay, it's just NBC. There you go.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, I want to see you on there. I want to see on the local affiliate where they go in and they go, here we go with this thing, because it's going to be on YouTube.
I'll send you the link. Don't worry. You know that.
Yeah, I want to see this thing.
Mikey, I got a real important question for you. Are you bidding on anything tomorrow, the next 3 days in the auction?
I didn't register for anything. Okay.
I didn't.
But you know what I would bid on, but nothing to do with Beatles. There are like 300 guitars.
Yeah.
And if I thought you could maybe get the guitar as a bargain, meaning like, maybe you can pick up a guitar that says it's $3,000 for $500. I can't imagine every guitar selling. I mean, it just seems like there's so many guitars.
Yeah.
So it's a good opportunity to pick up some guitars.
Holy smokes. A Beatles guitar, though.
But they have that
Beatles guitar. We know that.
They have that unused ticket for the Beatles at the Indiana State Fair. I would like that. September 3rd, 1964.
That thing didn't make any sense in the John and Yoko picture, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's in the wrong place,
Right.
But I would like those 65 tickets.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on it. I don't want to spend that kind of money right now.
And since we got to go, I want to say big thanks to Frank. Frank, you're the best. So I have just considered that purchased. I want to buy that little Paul McCartney, the little lenticular. I'm going to buy that. I want it because it makes me happy to look at it. Okay. I just love those little lenticulars. Yeah, that just makes me happy. And then I'll be playing with that thing for hours on end of music myself.
And I'm going to look at you for that book, Rachel. I'm going to find you that book.
Mikey, it's the hardbound white, and it's got the little green apple kind of with the faces in there, kind of in an old Xerox type look,
Yeah. We'll find it for you.
All right, Mikey. That'd be great.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Mikey.
See you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.